Congratulations, you've been approved with an available credit limit of $50,000. Welcome to the Credit Plug channel. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button as well as smash the subscribe button. Also, as a reminder to all viewers and subscribers, this is not financial advice. This is for informational purposes only. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be sharing some firsthand data points on how I was able to trigger an automatic approval for $50,000 business credit card, 0% interest for 12 months, and no documents required at all. That's right. You can get stated income business credit card, 0% for 12 months. So in today's video, I'm gonna walk you through step by step how to trigger an automatic approval from M&T Bank for $50,000 business credit card, 0% APR for 12 months. Now, before we dive into all the data points and details, for those who are not familiar with M&T Bank, M&T Bank is a regional financial institution, and they offer a host of different business credit products, including business lines of credit, which I'll share in a different video how I was also able to get a business line of credit. They offer business credit cards, term loans, as well as equipment financing and SBA. They offer two different business credit cards, right? So they have the business rewards credit card, which is the one I got approved for, as well as the traditional business credit card. Now, the major difference is that the rewards credit card earns unlimited 2% cash back in the first year and then 1.5% thereafter. And then the traditional business credit card has a lower APR after the introductory period. So both of these credit cards do come with 0% APR for 12 months on purchases and balance transfers. With the balance transfers, there is a 4% balance transfer fee. Now, they do offer business lines of credit, which again, we'll do a separate video, but I did want to let you guys know in terms of the application process, right? So there's three different ways that you can apply for business credit products. So you're not going to be able to apply online, unfortunately, but what you can do, you can go in branch or you could book an appointment. So the appointments could either be a video conference or you could do it by phone. Now, with the business lines of credit, they start from a minimum of $5,000 all the way up to $950,000. Now, for those who are interested in applying for the M&T Bank business credit card or any of their business credit products, a couple considerations, right? So M&T Bank is a regional bank, right? So it's not going to be available in all locations. So what you can do if you're not within their footprint, which is going to be mostly the Northeast, Maryland, Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York, you know, the upper Northeast of the United States, right? But you could also do a foreign entity registration, and that pretty much will allow you to open up a business checking account, which is the first prerequisite I would say that you want to have is a business checking account, right? Because if you don't have a relationship with M&T Bank on the business side, you're not going to be able to apply for any of their financial products. Whereas on the personal side, you don't necessarily need that relationship. On the business side, you do have to have a M&T Bank business checking account, right? So that's one of the first things. You also want to make sure you have the account open for at least 90 days. So that's one thing I'm always going to recommend, 90 days of account opening, right? Another step that you can do is just make some deposits into that checking account. You want to have transactions flowing into that checking account because that's going to enable the banks to feel more comfortable with extending higher limits to you. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't open up an account tomorrow and get a business credit card. I'm not saying that, but the better the relationship is, the better chances of getting approved. Now, one of the greatest things about this is that it is stated income, right? Now, what do I mean by stated income, right? So now when I was able to trigger this automatic $50,000 approval, I did go in branch. Now, I usually always bring documentation just in case they do ask for it. And since I did apply for a line of credit and a credit card at the same time, I did provide documentation. So I actually applied for the business line of credit first, and then I applied for the business credit card. The business line of credit, which I'll explain in another video, you do have to have some type of documentation for that. However, with the business credit card, since those are processed by two separate divisions within M&T Bank, there's different requirements. And the business credit card is actually going to be much easier and much less documentation in order for you to apply. So when they're filling out the application, they're literally asking you several questions about your finances, right? So they'll ask you, what's your business revenue? And they'll also ask you about your personal income. And this was on the business credit card application, right? So they ask you what your business revenue is. They also ask you what your personal income is. And they also ask you about your personal assets. So this is what's called a personal financial statement or personal financial disclosure. Now, when it comes to the application, the loan officer is entering that information in manually, right? So they're keying it in as they're asking you these different questions. So, if you have any existing credit card debt, if you have any existing loans, what the balances of all of your personal and business checking accounts are. So all of that information is stated. So they're not verifying that when you're putting in the application. And so they didn't even ask me for any of the personal financial information. No, just because it's stated does not mean fabricate or lie about your financial information, because it is each individual loan officer's discretion whether or not they want to actually ask for additional documentation. Now, I will say having an existing banking relationship is actually going to help with limiting the amount of documentation requested, because you already have a checking account. You might have some transactions now, versus if you're seeing this video and you want to apply tomorrow and you're a new customer, they may ask for additional banking information because they just have not had enough information and data points on you to make that lending decision. So again, they're not verifying this information on the front end, right? They just ask you these questions and they key it in on the application. Now, in terms of credit score, because M&T Bank is somewhat conservative and they have pretty high underwriting standards, you probably want to have at least a 700 FICO credit score, okay? Now, they will do a hard inquiry and you will get this immediate. So I did actually start getting notifications on my phone while I was actually in the bank. So as soon as you apply, it's an immediate hard pull on Experian. And again, they're known to having pretty high standards in terms of underwriting. I did apply for this credit card probably about 5 years ago and got denied. And so you want to make sure you have pretty decent credit and you aren't credit seeking. If you have a bunch of inquiries or a bunch of new accounts, that could actually potentially get you denied. So I would advise you have at least no more than 3 inquiries in the last 90 days. Now, one of the questions I did get insight into when I asked the business banker is, how do you qualify for the lowest APR, right? And so in order to qualify for the lowest APR, whether that's a business credit card or a business line of credit, you need at least an 800 FICO. And that doesn't mean you need that to get approved, but that's what you need to qualify for the lowest interest rate. All right, so here's my actual approval letter. Now, as you can see right here, it says, congrats, you've been approved for the M&T Bank Business Rewards credit card account with a limit of $50,000. So one thing about M&T Bank is that they don't do online correspondence. So if you do get approved, it's not like you're going to get an email. Everything that they do is through the mail. So they're going to send you a letter. So even though I got approved for this, I didn't actually get this official approval letter in the mail for about a week. So even though it was almost an instant decision, you're not going to get the correspondence until it actually comes in the mail. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Again, in terms of the business credit cards, they do offer 2, the business credit card and the business rewards credit card. Both have 0 intro APR for 12 months. The only difference is that with the rewards credit card, after the intro period, the lowest APR is 17.49%. Here I am logged into my online bank, right? So as you guys can see, this is not Photoshop. You can see right here, available credit, $50,000. So just to recap, how to trigger an automatic credit approval with the M&T Bank business credit card. So for one, if you aren't in the geographic footprint, you could do a foreign entity. After you set up your foreign entity, what you want to do is open up an account, open up a checking account and start making some deposits in. And I generally recommend that you wait at least 90 days. Now, you can get stated income. Now, here's the caveat. When they're asking you certain business information about, your revenue, your schedule of business, debt, your personal financial statement, the loan officer is just keying that information into the application. They're not actually asking you for documentation or verifying whatever information that you're actually stating. They're putting it into the application. Now, they will do a hard pull on your personal credit, and they're also going to do inquiry on your business credit, your Experian business. So they're pulling personal and business experience, right? So just keep that in mind. And since they are somewhat conservative, you do want at least a 700 minimum FICO. Now, if you see this video and you have a 620, a 650, a 580, do not bother applying because you will get denied. They are a conservative financial institution. They also don't like to see a lot of inquiries. So I would typically recommend that you have 3 or less inquiries within the last 90 days. And that's at a minimum. If you have 4 or 5, you're probably pushing your luck a little bit. Now, another thing I wanted to share with you is that you could actually double dip, which I was able to do on a business line of credit as well as a business credit card. So if you apply at the same time, they're only going to hard pull your credit one time. And another major difference with M&T Bank. So when I applied several years ago and got denied, they actually did a double pull on Equifax and Experian. And it seems like now they're just pulling from Experian. So that's another change. And we've been seeing this a lot with a lot of financial institutions where it seems like they're transitioning exclusively to Experian. Now, overall, I think M&T is really starting to make a name for itself and actually starting to compete with some of these other regional banks like Truist. Now, again, this is not financial advice. I'm not telling you drop everything, run, go apply for this. I'm just sharing with you my own personal data points. Anyways, that's all for today's video. Let me know your comments and questions right down below. And until next time, take it easy and we'll talk to you soon. Peace.